Hey, Joe Ramirez here with the National Entertainment Awards Academy for Military and Veterans, also the American Legion. We do a podcast quite regularly to have engagement and talk about the issues of the day, the veteran view, meaning from our perspective, how do we look at things, and also to actually have open discussion, freedom of speech, right, with like-minded or perhaps people we don't agree with. Which is kind of a bit of a topic I kind of want to touch on a little bit that I have been trying to, at least in my own little, small way, trying to have big impact, of course, to get back to a place where we can agree to disagree. And this is this is a tough one because we are arguing about what the facts are now these days when we didn't used to. And when I was growing up, a fact was considered a body of information, a word or two or whatever, that a fact had a lot of consensus to it. A lot of people agreed on what a fact was. These are the facts. And I think there has always been on the political arena or in the political arena that's what they argued over, the facts. And they also argued on direction and philosophy, that sort of thing. But we are at a really awful place in society right now when we are arguing about the facts. We are arguing about the facts. So when I see this happening, where do you go from there? Where do you go from here? And I think we get to a place where we agree to disagree. Learn how to agree to disagree and say, hey, we're just going to have to agree to disagree on this one. And I think that really helps the community, our society, each other move on to the next thing or whatever. And perhaps by listening to each other, maybe we can come to common ground and get back to agreeing on the facts. Here's why I bring this up as well. We have and this is not political. Please, this is not political. But I am going to be referring to President Trump and Elon Musk as an example of how destructive this can be when you have a clash of these two individuals and perhaps some reasons why they're clashing, and on a very similar way, we're kind of doing the same thing. And so here's what some of the things that I've been kind of reading when it comes to at least where they are when it comes to passing a bill that they're trying to get through. I don't know what you call this bill, but Elon Musk is very much against it, and now they're kind of taking shots at each other. So why are they doing this when they both have separate positions? Elon Musk is not even part of the government anymore. Of course, we know that Trump is the president. I think a lot has to do with ego. I think we can. Maybe we can agree on that, right? Regardless how you feel about the spending bill, that's what it is. There's a lot of ego behind why they get into a public argument about it. And I my experience was and is, as a veteran, but when I was active duty, that we were all in it for the mission. We had different ranks, and you had officers versus non-officers, but I can honestly say that we got along because of the mission, because of the overall goal, whatever it was, whether you're in wartime or not, that veterans got along in a way that I just don't see, or the active duty military got along in such a way that I believe society could, learn from our community. And that we have an end goal in mind. We're all on the same team, and we, whatever that goal is, that we're striving together to get to that goal. And we took ego out of it. The ego isn't even an option. Even if you did have high rank in the military, there was always someone who had a higher rank than you. So you could only go so far. But what we're seeing the clash of these two titans is their ego coming out and just kind of making things worse. And it makes everyone feel uncomfortable that you got two very powerful people, one, the most powerful man on the earth when it comes to the government, and our president, and the most powerful man, you could say, because of him being the wealthiest man, Elon Musk. Ego. And it just becomes a big distraction. Here's the other thing. Is this, helpful? Is this just noise? I just don't find this helpful at all, other than perhaps maybe it causes us to research a little bit more about what they're arguing about, the spending bill. And even then, I'm not sure what to believe anymore, which is why I think podcasts are becoming more popular these days, because there's so much conversation out there, open conversations, not too scripted, yet some of it is, interviews, different perspectives. And I want to say, I don't know this for sure, but podcasts are even becoming more popular than just regular mainstream media, legacy media, that sort of thing. I think that really held true in the last election when Joe Rogan had a strong say, and I don't mean in a sense from we just listened to Joe Rogan, but he had a lot of influence because of his large audience. And I recently heard a podcast that Bernie Sanders with Bernie Sanders and Joe Rogan, and it was so informative. It was so informative from every angle, every perspective, from this idea of socialism, capitalism, everything in between. And they were talking like just regular adults disagreeing like regular adults. And what I appreciated about Bernie Sanders, never really been a huge fan of him, was that he really believes what he's saying. He's not saying it to somehow have some sort of trick angle. And probably why people like Trump as well is like you see what you get. You get what you see. With Bernie Sanders. Here's the other thing too. How about this whole idea in this clash of the titans and this whole idea that we can't agree on facts, and that we should get back to a place where we can agree to disagree. This whole idea that, we're just exercising free speech. And I would say that free speech doesn't mean that you don't have consequences from your speech. And what we're seeing here, too, is a lot of arguing and a lot of things happening as a result of things said and how you say them, and perhaps you're saying something that's not true. And this is the part that kind of makes all of us a little bit nervous, are you going to use the government or empower the government to, I don't know, get on you because you said something that perhaps maybe wasn't factual in their eyes, or whatever the case may be. But just know that free speech doesn't mean you don't have consequences. I'll give you another example of that. Is that when I was in the military, you have free speech, but you're not going to get out in the battlefield, stand up in the middle of a firefight and start praising the enemy you're fighting. You're free to do that, but that's not going to come without consequences. I guess the last couple things here that we could talk about when it comes to agreeing or disagreeing and public spectacles and not agreeing on facts. Should we allow billionaires and CEOs to mix into politics? And I think there's also another controversial subject to talk about. And I would say yes. They have to, I think, intertwine just as much as I would like to see veterans actually be more part of the process and being policymakers, being part of the legislative branch. It used to be where half the people, or I don't know what the number is, that a lot of people that were in government had served in the military. It's not so much anymore. But I just think that this whole military veteran experience that we have with one another, where we're mission-minded and put the ego aside, helps our societies. Another one of the reasons why I'm so passionate about adjusting the narrative to the perception of the American veteran. It's like, no, there's a lot of productive veterans out there. So the veteran voices in the age of billionaire battles, amid all of the headlines, whose voices really get lost, right? That's a question here. It's pulled up here. Amid all of the headlines that are out there, whose voices get lost? And you know who I say who those voices are? The people who are in the working class, right? They don't have time to be sorting through all of the social media and figuring out what's truth and what's not, to figure out with the clash of titans whose side they fall under. They just see that you have two, I don't know, big bullies fighting. It's just like they don't have time for it. And that's really the core of America, right? The core of actually our society, people who are actually working, right, making things happen. The person in the assembly line, and that's also in jeopardy too with AI coming aboard and robotics. The person who is serving you, at the fast food restaurant. And although I've had various levels of success from that to bagging groceries to being a CEO of a company, I do know that the working class and that community is the most busiest is the busiest community out there, and those are the voices that are getting lost. That's what really, really concerns me. So I'm hoping that that the point here, agreeing to disagree, is helpful. And if you send me a message, say you want a coffee cup for VetStream TV, and also, by the way, I have another one that says they support veterans. You don't have to be a veteran to have it. I'd like to send it to you. If you have any other questions, sign up for our email list. We have plenty of events that are coming along. Maybe you want to be a part of those. But I'll talk to you later, and God bless you, and God bless this great country, USA. Take care.